I never realized how much Star Trek. Voyager's doctor changed after Kes' exit. When Star Trek Voyager first aired in 1995, it promised a journey through the Delta Quadrant unlike anything seen before in the Star Trek universe. Stranded 70,000 light years from home, the crew of the USS Voyager had to rely on ingenuity, cooperation, and a little bit of luck to survive. Among the ship's most fascinating characters was the emergency medical hologram, simply known as the Doctor. Initially designed as a temporary measure, the Doctor quickly became one of the series' most compelling and evolving figures. Yet, one of the series' subtler and most overlooked turning points was the departure of Kes, the Ocampa nurse and telepathic companion. His leaving Voyager in Season 4 fundamentally changed the Doctor in ways that are often underappreciated. At first glance, the Doctor's development seemed straightforward. He begins as a rigid, program-bound medical hologram, strictly adhering to his protocols and Starfleet regulations. He lacks the nuanced understanding of humanity that a living crew member naturally possesses. Kes' presence in the first 4 seasons was instrumental to softening this rigidity. She challenged the Doctor's literal interpretations, encouraged his curiosity, and provided emotional feedback, a patient mirror to his emerging personality. Their interactions were playful, tender, and at times fraught with tension, as Kes frequently called him out for overstepping boundaries or misjudging situations. Her gentle guidance helped him explore not only what it meant to heal the body, but also to understand the heart. Kes' exit in Season 4, however, removed that stabilizing influence, with her departure to evolve into her Ocampa potential. A storyline both emotionally resonant and narratively significant, the Doctor was left without his closest emotional tether. While the loss could have left the character floundering, it instead became a catalyst for dramatic growth. In the wake of Kes' exit, the Doctor was forced to confront his identity in ways he hadn't previously needed to. Without Kes gently guiding him, he had to learn self-direction and self-reflection on his own terms, leading to some of the series' most profound explorations of artificial intelligence, individuality, and morality. The immediate aftermath of Kes' departure shows the Doctor stepping into a more central role aboard the ship. No longer sharing intimate dialogue and guidance with Kes, he begins to assert himself more boldly with the crew at large. Episodes such as Macrocosm and Latent Image reveal a Doctor who is increasingly confident in both his technical abilities and ethical judgments. In Latent Image, for instance, the Doctor grapples with a moral dilemma over 2 patients, a storyline that echoes the existential questions he once explored only under Kes' gentle prodding. The difference is striking. He no longer needs an external emotional anchor to engage with humanistic questions. Instead, he develops a nuanced understanding of ethics that is entirely self-driven, a major leap in his character arc. Another subtle yet significant shift is his approach to humor and social interaction. In the first few seasons, his humor, often a series of awkward one-liners or literal interpretations of sarcasm, was largely influenced by his interactions with Kes and other empathetic crew members. After she leaves, the Doctor's humor evolves. It becomes sharper, sometimes darker, and increasingly reflective of his emerging self-awareness. In episodes like Virtuoso, he experiments with cultural performance and artistic expression, demonstrating a personality that is no longer molded primarily by Kes' feedback, but by his own desires and curiosities. It's a fascinating example of an artificial being learning to navigate human social dynamics independently. The Doctor's relationships with other crew members also deepened post-Kes. Prior to her departure, his emotional and social growth often revolved around her. After, he begins forming more complex, sometimes fraught, relationships with characters like Seven of Nine, Captain Janeway, and even Neelix. Seven, in particular, becomes a mirror for the Doctor in many ways. As a former Borg drone struggling with identity and humanity, Seven forces the Doctor to examine his own sense of self beyond programming. Their interactions, initially cold, later collaborative, and sometimes deeply emotional, showcase a Doctor who has transitioned from a character shaped by Kes' nurturing presence to one who can navigate and challenge emotional complexity independently. Perhaps the most striking evolution is in his sense of ambition and self-determination. Early on, The Doctor's ambitions were primarily defined by his service: to heal, to assist, and to obey Starfleet protocols. His presence often restrained or guided these ambitions within the moral and ethical framework she helped him navigate. After she departs, however, the Doctor starts pursuing his own goals more assertively. His desire for recognition, artistic expression, and even leadership within the ship's social hierarchy becomes apparent. In Author, the Doctor takes a stand over the ownership of his own holonovel, asserting creative rights in a way that no longer relies on Kes' encouragement. It's a bold move, signaling that he has internalized both her lessons and his own experiences to become a fully realized individual. Equally noteworthy is the Doctor's evolving understanding of mortality and emotion. In the earlier seasons, his discussions of death, love, and fear were often theoretical, filtered through Kes' empathetic perspective. Post-Kes, these concepts become deeply personal. The Doctor begins confronting the limitations of his holographic existence and the weight of real-life ethical consequences. Episodes like Lifeline and Projections highlight this maturation. He is not just a program following orders. He is a being grappling with identity, impermanence, and moral responsibility in a profoundly personal way. This transition is subtle but transformative, moving him from the realm of comic relief or sidekick to one of Voyager's most philosophically compelling characters. Kes' exit also indirectly catalyzes the Doctor's exploration of vulnerability. Without her, he is forced to rely on other crew members and, more importantly, on himself. This creates dramatic tension, but also narrative richness. Vulnerability becomes a tool, not a flaw. By navigating the Delta Quadrant without his emotional crutch, the Doctor begins experimenting with trust, friendship, and even love in more nuanced ways. His connection with Seven of Nine, in particular, demonstrates how this vulnerability can be both empowering and challenging, pushing him toward moral and emotional decisions that define his character through the later seasons. What's remarkable is how the Doctor's transformation after Kes' exit reflects broader themes of Voyager. Stranded far from home, every crew member is forced to grow, adapt, and redefine themselves. The Doctor's evolution mirrors this larger narrative. When a stabilizing influence is removed, individuals must navigate uncertainty, confront their limitations, and ultimately redefine their identity. Kes' departure is a narrative device that forces the Doctor to step out of her shadow, catalyzing growth that might have otherwise remained latent. In many ways, it's a microcosm of Voyager's core theme. Survival is not just physical, it's emotional, ethical, and deeply personal. Looking back, it's easy to underestimate Kes' role in shaping the Doctor's early personality. Many fans might see her departure as simply a plot point or a natural evolution of her character. Yet, the ripple effects on the Doctor are profound.